He looks at me and he says, "Now I have to kill you. I've gone too far. You can't be seen like this. Everyone's gonna know."
Fighting in a big organization like the UFC can give you a career, and becoming its champion will set you up for life. However, sometimes life can take a turn in a weird or dark direction and lead an MMA star into the troubled life of crime. War Machine. So you want to date an MMA fighter? Well, this story might help you make the right choice by weeding out any red flags. The story of War Machine, aka John Koppenhaver, is an MMA fighter who committed one of the most heinous crimes in American history. The now 41-year-old fighter is serving a life sentence for imprisoning, sexually abusing, and assaulting his ex-girlfriend, Christine Mack. Christine and War Machine enjoyed a loving relationship. The duo even got a special tattoo for one another. Mack officially declared her body as the property of the War Machine, a move she would soon come to regret. It didn't take long for the relationship to take a wild turn as the duo started fighting more often. Koppenhaver didn't approve of Mack's work as a porn star. He would often run into trouble with the law growing up, and what he did in 2014 changed everything. War Machine, finding his girlfriend in bed with another man, ignited a domestic fight, which led to Mack losing 2 teeth, fractured eyes, nose, lacerated liver, and a broken rib. She escaped through a back door, naked and bloody, only managing to contact the police through a neighbor. 2 years later, Las Vegas jury found Koppenhaver guilty on the accounts of kidnapping, sexual assault, battery, and domestic violence. He's now serving 36 years behind bars with no possibility of parole until he's 71. Mayhem Miller. Jason Mayhem Miller was the biggest star in the making during the late 2000s and early 2010s. Miller was seen as a massive prospect who went on to host a mega successful MTV reality series, Bully Beatdown. He even fought for the Strikeforce middleweight world title and faced the likes of GSP. However, his life completely spiraled out of control in 2012. Over the course of the past 10 years, Miller has found himself imprisoned on multiple occasions, ranging from armed standoff with SWAT team to domestic violence, vandalism, and more. He truly went out and caused mayhem in the real world as his in-ring career came to an end. Jason even gave good old Ariel Helwani a tough time live on air. Lee Murray. This former UFC fighter didn't just turn to a life of crime, but turned to a life of Grand Theft Auto. Lee Murray wasn't an ordinary name in MMA. The ex-UFC fighter once fought the legendary Anderson Spider Silva in his prime. In 2006, British MMA fighter Murray's career took a hit and caused him to stitch together a losing streak. With the spotlight's warmth going numb, he decided to mastermind the heist of the decade. He put together a team of friends and executed the famous Securitas heist. Murray donned the shoes of a cop, abducted a guard, and emptied $56 million from a repository, or $100 million by today's standards. The group committed the crime without firing a single bullet, but the lack of exit strategy caused them serious problems. They set their escape vehicle on fire in the middle of a field, had no idea how to store the multi-million-dollar bills, and even left their ski masks, weapons, and nearly $1 million in cash inside another van. All of this caused him to flee to Morocco, as the country has no extradition policy. But unfortunately for him, this is where he ended up getting caught for drug-related crimes in 2007, and 3 years later was found guilty for masterminding the heist as well. He was sentenced to up to 25 years in prison in 2010 and still remains in captivity. Alexander Emelianenko. Younger brother of the legendary champion Fedor Emelianenko, didn't live up to his second name. Alexander also made his way into MMA, however his foray into the sport soon got derailed as he continued to find himself in legal problems. Alex grew up fighting in the streets, engaging in riots, and landing in jail multiple times. Right up until 2008, Alexander led a rather normal life of an MMA fighter, racking up a record of 14 wins and 3 losses. However, a serious health concern kept him from fighting in the USA, forcing him to remain active on the Russian circuit. But in 2014, everything changed. Alexander was accused of sexual assault, kidnapping, and stealing a passport from his housekeeper. He was convicted for the crime and sentenced to 4.5 years in jail. He was later released on parole and tried to put his life back together, only to find himself in legal trouble once again in 2019 as he was arrested once more for driving under the influence, illegal parking, and attempting to escape arrest in his gold Mercedes. Cain Velasquez. Becoming the heavyweight champion of the world carries its own prestige, especially in an organization like the UFC, as it also grants you the tag of being the baddest man on the planet. Enter Cain Velasquez, former two-time heavyweight champion of the world, who found himself facing charges of attempted murder in Santa Clara County, California. In Cain's defense, the former UFC champion was chasing down and shooting an alleged pedophile who had wronged his family member. The UFC star spent 8 months in jail and was only released on bail at the tail end of 2022.